Hello everyone, welcome to the Vlogario. This is the first episode of how to program JavaScript for absolute beginners. So if you already know something about JavaScript, you should probably skip this video. But if you're not, you're in the right place.
Back home to you.
You can use any text editor you want, like Windows Notepad, but I'm going for Visual Studio Code. You can also use Notepad++, which is a great application, but I'm currently using Visual Studio Code. For downloading Visual Studio Code, I have put a link in the description below, or you can just go ahead and go to code.visualstudio.com and click on download. Download this application and install it on your computer. No matter your computer is Mac or you're on Windows, there should be no difference. Okay, now that you have installed Visual Studio Code on your computer, just go ahead and create the folder where you want your application be in. I have created a folder called ep1-js. Go ahead and click that, and inside it you just create a new text file. Call it everything you want, but I'm going to call it index, which is the main page of any HTML program. You can also call it home or default, and the type should be HTML, so we changed txt to HTML. Just go ahead and enter yes, and we now have our HTML file here. What is an HTML file? You can double click it and see. An HTML file can be opened in a browser, so any browser can understand what an HTML file is. So we are going to write our code inside this HTML file. So go ahead and right click on it, open file with Visual Studio. As you can see, I have already wrote something inside it, which I am going to tell you right now what it is. By default it is empty, but you should write this before start writing your JavaScript. What is this actually? We have created an HTML tag. You don't need to understand what an HTML tag is. We will go through them soon. In this HTML tag, we have a head tag, a body tag, and a script tag. We are going to code inside script tag. The other things doesn't matter right now. We will go through them later. Just go ahead and write this. And inside the script tag, we are going to understand what is variables. Variables is something like an storage. So we can store number, we can store strings, we can store characters, we can store almost everything inside a variable. We have different kind of variables, but in JavaScript we only have one thing, and that's a var, which represents a variable. So you give your variable a name. I'm gonna give it A. And after you have write your variable, or any code, any line of code in JavaScript, at the end of it you should you should put a semicolon at the end of it. This semicolon is important because it says that this line is finished here. Actually, right now in new browsers, you cannot put it here. It's not an important thing, but you should put a semicolon at the end of it, so you won't be in trouble anymore. So I have created a variable called A. You can also give this variable, you can also write something inside this variable. You can store something inside it. So I'm gonna go ahead and save a number inside that variable. I'm gonna say A is equal to 2. So what I have done here, I have stored the number 2 inside the a variable. So after that, whenever I say a, it means 2, because there is 2 inside a. So we go ahead and create another variable. This time I'm gonna do it a little bit different. We have a b variable. I'm not gonna say b is equal to 2. I'm gonna make it easier and say var b is equal to 2. They're same. There is no difference between them. I just wanted you to see the different kind of assigning a number to a variable or anything to a variable. You have 2 ways. There are other ways, but these 2 is the main things you always use. Now in JavaScript, when you are going to write a comment between your line of codes, you just go ahead and write 2 slashes and then write anything you want. Right now I'm going to write variables, and I'm gonna do this. So our variables are here. I'm gonna comment this too, and I'm gonna make the a exactly as what I have done to 2. Now that I have a and b, I can do many things, like var c is equal to a plus b. Now the computer understands that a is equal to 2, b is equal to 2, so c will be equal to 4. And to see what is the result, right now our code do nothing. To see the result, we have to write a little bit complex code called console.log. You don't need to do what console.log actually, where it's coming from. You don't need to know how it's made. You just need to know what it does. So console.log c. Let's save that. You can go click on file and save, or you can just hold Control and press S, and it saves for you. For starting our application and see what it does, you just go ahead to the file you have just created, and you have wrote these codes inside. You just double click on the index file, index.html you have created. Let me close this too. Right now it does nothing, but we have wrote a line of code called console.log. So what does console.log do is that when you press F12 in Google Chrome or browsers, there is a console coming up for you, pop up for you. There is other things like elements, source, network. We will go through them later, but right now we just have something to do with console. And in console, when you click it, as you can see, something wrote here. It's showing us 4. And where is this 4 coming from? We have wrote it ourselves. We said a plus b, and we are console.log c. So c has been logged into console. This is our console, this is our log, and number 4 can be shown here. So we have a lot of things to do with this console, so make sure that you never forget it. Okay, now you can do any other thing. Now I am going to make a variable called text. You can call it anything you want. You can call it blah 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 like that, but I'm going to call it text, and in that text I am going to write something like a equal like sum, as you can see, we are seeing some errors here. In other code editors you might not see this error, but it's telling us that this sum is not defined. What is this? I am going to tell the computer that I am going to write a text inside my text variable. So how am I doing that? I have to put two double quotations or two quotations. There is no difference. Two quotations. This is quotation. This is quotation. This is double quotation. So no matter which one you use now, I am using quotations here, and inside that you write anything you want, pretty much everything you want to be seen on computer. I am going to say sum is equal to. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Right now our text is not shown on our log, so we're going to add a text to the log. What we can do is to text plus is to write text plus c. C is represents that a plus b, and text is our sum is equal. So text plus c should stick these two together. So it sticks number 4 to sum is equal to a space. Let me just clear this space and see what happens now. We just go ahead and save. We refresh our page. As you can see, sum is equal to 4. It says sum. This is our string variable, characters, and this is the number that we have calculated with the computer. So I can just press and space here, go ahead and check. As you can see, it has been better. Okay guys, that's it for variables. Okay, now that you know how to make variables, I am going to tell you how to make functions. So what a function is actually a package of codes. So whenever we call that function, a bunch of codes will run. So I'm going to create a function. A function is nothing different with a variable, but a little bit more complex. As you can see right now, you just go ahead and say function. You name your function. I'm going to say this is my func. The structure of function is the same as this always. It will never change. You just change the name here. A function gets parameters here, which is empty now, and the codes that you're gonna be called whenever you ask this function should be right in here. So our code is inside here. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy all our code inside this function. So as you can see, our code is inside here. I'm just gonna run our application again and see what happens. As you can see, nothing happens here. Nothing is in console log happen because I haven't called this function yet. I have packaged our code in this function, but I never called this function. The good thing about functions is that they won't work if you don't call them. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it right now. For calling a function, you just say its name. So my func, and at the end of it, you should have the parentheses. You just go ahead and test our application again. As you can see, the result pops up. What happened here is that the computer will check this function, but it doesn't start it because it is not yet called. But whenever computer gets to this line of code, it sees that, oh, I have to call my function and start this line of code, and it do that. So the good part about this is that I can call it as much as I want. So I want a bunch of this codes happen. So right now I do it again. We save it, refresh it. As you can see, I have called that function a lot of times. If I wanted to do this without function, I should have write this line of code 10 times, for example, or this line of code 10 times. So it's not good for our program to be just copy and paste. So we make functions for it and make it more understandable and easier to change. So there you have it, guys. There you have it, guys. This is the very beginner part of functions in our JavaScript programming. Okay guys, that's it for this episode. In the next episode, I am going to tell you how to create elements like buttons, text box, and everything like that for your applications. So we just get rid of console log and do them all in our HTML file. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching.